Hello everyone, this is The Station, a podcast series coming to you directly from the Charles Darwin Research Station, where we dive into stories of science and wonder from the Galápagos Islands. So today we're joined by David Oakes. He's an actor at the Vikings series in Netflix. Have you heard of him? So hi David, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Nice to be here.
Nice to meet you. So we're joined here in Galápagos. How come did you get here? What brought you here?
So I've always wanted to come to the Galapagos. I think there's something about growing up in England, being interested in the natural world. The Galapagos is this sort of mystical place far, far away where giant tortoises roam that you can't wait to find a chance to go to. So to do that ethically is the tricky thing. It's a hell of a long way to fly. So as well as being an actor, I'm actually an ecologist who's been working with the University of Exeter, who run a field trip out here in the Galapagos over on San Cristobal Island. So for the last 2 weeks, I've been on San Cristobal, taking genetic samples from finches and bottlenose dolphins, but also running PCRs in the lab, and looking at all the different ways in which the endemic species here on the different islands, vary from one to another. So yes, I'm an actor who can sample your genome. So I'm an interesting thing.
That's amazing. So you're actually you're into conservation and all these activities that we work here at the station as well. Mm-hmm. So you were in San Cristobal, you were in Isabella, and now you're here. What were you doing also in Isabella? You were doing a little bit of tourism, or also?
Isabella was tourism.
All tourism?
It was that thing, having spent 2 weeks on San Cristobal, the chance to get to explore the island that everybody says is the most beautiful. Sorry, Santa Cruz. I couldn't miss up the opportunity. So yeah, I went over there primarily to go diving off the Tortuga Island, and saw the biggest whale shark I have ever seen, which was astounding, and hammerheads galore, and oceanic manta rays, and mobula, and barracuda tunnels, and yeah, like that was pretty cool.
That's amazing. You got to see whale sharks at this time of the year.
Everybody said you will not see a whale shark. Do not expect to see a whale shark.
I didn't expect that either. I haven't seen one.
Ever?
Ever.
They're really big. How can you miss them? They're just over there on Tortuga Island.
Oh, they were just that close. I forgot. Okay, I'll try next week, probably. So you also do a podcast, right? We were just talking about that. It's Trees a Crowd.
Yep.
And what is it about? What makes it unique?
So about 8-9 years ago, when there weren't many nature podcasts, and I was just acting at the time, my other half was like, well, what do you want to do? You think acting is a little navel-gazing and a little foolish sometimes. So what would you like to do to sort of broaden your horizon? So I started Trees a Crowd. And the hope was to sort of use identity politics, the charm of an individual who's got information, to use them as a personality to get the information out there. Often scientists fail at the communication side of things. They're very good at writing papers or grant applications or those kinds of things. But in terms of getting these inspirational ideas out to the populace is really, really tricky. So the hope was to interview people better than I who could expand upon what makes the natural world wonderful. And it's deliberately a broad church. There's artists and taxidermists and musicians who are inspired by nature, but there's also conservationists and scientists and marine biologists and botanists and a whole host of people. And over the last 8 years or so, it has grown. All the interviews are recorded in person, face-to-face, normally somewhere site-specific. So recording an interview on Santa Cruz would be a perfect place to do it. But I've recorded interviews at sunrise as the dawn chorus starts. I've recorded interviews with hippos barking at us in the background. Yeah, it's been a hell of a journey. And actually, it was that journey through getting more involved with conservation organizations. Through that has led me onto various sort of formal roles within various international and domestic NGOs. And indeed sort of sent me back into the university world to go and get my master's.
Awesome. And you did your master's in?
Evolutionary and behavioral ecology. So arguably there's nowhere better to be than the Galapagos to get to understand what that really means.
And the station is a good place. You're going this afternoon to our collection, so you're going to see a lot
I'm really excited. I feel like doing this podcast is the way that I have to pay penance and get entry to the collection to see everything that you've got hidden here.
Yes, kind of. No, but really, the station does give you these tools, like not only in evolution and all this research that we do here, but also like to do different types of science. So as I was telling you, we have marine, terrestrial. We also work with the community as well here. And it's interesting that you're working also with other actors and botanists and all this spectrum. And how do you manage to contact them? Has it helped also like to work in Vikings, for example, in Netflix? How has that impacted on your life or to do all this other work?
It's busy.
Yeah.
I won't lie. It's busy. I think it helps to have one foot in conservation and science and one foot in the entertainment industry. It means you don't get too overwhelmed by either. Both are quite complicated realms to explore, and you can become a bit obsessed with either and don't see the land for the trees. And I think that's always been something that I've wanted to explore with the podcast, and certainly personally, is the holistic way in which everything interconnects. If you're to take the Charles Darwin Foundation, it's great that you've got a hub here that crosses all the different disciplines of science and aspects of the community, so that there can be dialogues that exist between the different departments and different units. And through doing so, you don't just get stuck focusing on marine iguanas, say. You can actually look at how they interact with other species, other biomes, with the community, and how that has a greater sort of resonance. And I think often people in general, not just scientists and actors, but people in general can get so sort of blinkered in only looking at the one thing that they do with their life that they forget that there are opportunities to change what they do, and there are opportunities to broaden what they do at any turn in life.
Yes. So here, for example, right now we have this really ambitious project. I don't know if you've heard about the Floriana project.
Oh, I've heard about the Floriana project.
So yeah, we are one of the co-executioners of the project. We've been working for more than 10 years on this. And what caught my eye yesterday, we were just working on a paper on that, and it's like what the scientists say, it's a puzzle. It's a big puzzle, because once one thing you move it, or like you help, I don't know, eradicate one species, or you reintroduce another species, it could affect the entire ecosystem, of course. So that's like one of our big goals here, and that's why we have so many departments, because of course, like we need to research, like for example, I want to say like you do eradication with it's the phylornis department, but you also need to focus on the birds because they could get affected. So you need to go with the land birds department as well.
As an evolutionary ecologist, I find it an absolutely fascinating project, because it's working out what baseline you want to go back to. And you're talking about something that has evolved and is continuing evolving and has done over millions of years. And you're saying we've done this for 10 years, which from human endeavors is quite a long commitment. But how on earth can we change something back to what it used to be in 10 years? So for me, the Floriana project is this wonderful idea in a UNESCO World Heritage Site with the opportunity to look so far into the future that this is a project that will be handed down the generations of human endeavor, and will get at some point to something, some level of pre-existing state, which actually is a future state, but has gone through this whole crazy kind of flux. And maybe at some point you get to a point where humanity steps away and leaves it to do what it wants to do. But at that point, where the hell does it go next? And it's that sort of broad sort of timescale thing that I've always found absolutely joyous to explore.
Yes. So, well, the fortunate thing about Floriana is that we only have 150 people. So humanity, unfortunately, is a little bit controlled. And we've also, like, these years have also helped us to work with the community, because part of the entire program is to work with them, because they need to help us, because, of course, they would get affected about all the strategies that are being managed to do the entire project. So that's what makes it very complicated, but also it helps. And then, like, as you were saying, like you've been working also here in different conservation programs. I know that you heard of us from CITES, right? CITES, yeah. CITES, yeah, in English, sorry. And you met us through Gabriel Viana, our PI on sharks. And how was that interaction as well? What were you doing there? So
I was at CITES, which, for those who don't know it, is the Conference for the International Trade of Endangered Species, which is a big multilateral agreement where we try and get nation states to agree that, say, trading in marine iguanas internationally is a bad idea. Sometimes people don't think that stuff like that is instantly a bad idea. Some people go, there's lots of money to be made from selling this really incredibly vulnerable endemic species across the world. Anyway, that was one of the successes from this year's CITES, was marine iguanas got shunted up to Appendix 1, which is really cool. Anyway, I was at CITES for 2 reasons. One, as an ambassador for the David Shepherd Wildlife Foundation, who advised the African Elephant Support Group to try and sort of make sure that the ivory ban isn't reopened. But I was also there working as a patron for the Manta Trust, because I'm a particular fan of our big flappy friends. And at this CITES, the goal was to get all rays, all 3 mantas, and all of the devil rays uplisted to Appendix 1 as well. And rays are sharks. They're all in the big same family. So for pretty much every night for that first week in CITES, there was a shark happy hour in the local pub, where all shark enthusiasts went, and there was a big bar tab going, and we invited all the delegates over from all the countries, and we used alcohol as a way to make people realize that sharks are worth saving. And it was incredibly successful. Who knew? So white-tipped reef sharks got put up onto Appendix 1, guitarfish, Appendix 1, whale sharks, I think, were put up there as well. Taupe was there, all the mantas, as I've already said. Like, it was brilliantly successful. And I mean, I knew I was obviously coming out here at that time, and bumped into Gabe and had a chat to him about Charles Darwin Foundation and his work that he's doing here. And he showed me some videos of the work that he's been doing on hammerheads, of him free diving down and collecting samples from schools of, I don't know, 200, 300, 400 hammerheads up in Darwin and Wolf. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think I can extend my trip long enough to get on a liveaboard to go up to Darwin and Wolf. But wow, what a world under the sea it is up there.
But you did get to see hammerheads, right?
Yeah, I've seen hammerheads. Seen quite a few. Saw over some in San Cristobal and some in Isabella.
At the Kicker Rock, probably.
Exactly.
That's my favorite snorkeling spot. Definitely.
Although I'm trying to call it the Sleeping Lion, because in Spanish everybody calls it the Sleeping Lion, but when all the tourists come in, they call it Kicker Rock because it looks like a boot. And I feel like that's rubbish.
Yeah.
I think Sleeping Lion is a much better name.
Makes more sense.
Yeah.
You need more imagination, but it is there.
Nothing wrong with having more imagination.
Exactly. And well, we are actually pushing now here as CDF, as institution, to help also the hammerhead shark to put it up to Appendix 1 as well. That's one of our main goals this year.
Okay.
So we are trying to push that. We are gonna push it a lot also in Shark Week. It is a good week also to take advantage of and bring the voice on the endangered scallop hammerhead shark.
Sure.
That's the one that Gabriel works with most. And we, in the sharks department, they work with tiger sharks, blue sharks, silky sharks, and hammerhead sharks, because those are the most problematic right now here in Galapagos, as overfishing. Well, not inside the Galapagos Marine Reserve,
just
but
outside the marine protected area.
Outside. So
one
of our main goals is also like to keep extending these reserves and keep giving more international waters to the sharks, because they don't know walls, they don't know frontiers, so they will go anywhere. And that's what happens a lot, mostly with silky sharks also.
Sure.
That's a very highly fished shark, and it travels way too much for that. So yeah, we do have different problematics, definitely, and that's what we're trying to work with.
Sure. And
so what has like been the most exciting thing that you've seen here up to now here in Galapagos?
There's so many exciting things.
Yeah,
that's the most
other
exciting
than the
thing.
whale shark.
Pretty much everything you look at is a rare, endangered, endemic species. I witnessed a really cool encounter yesterday, which, from the short amount of research that I've done, I think is actually the first time it's ever been witnessed, or at least by a scientist. I witnessed a juvenile marine iguana be predated upon by a lava gull.
Oh, I saw a picture.
So you sit there going, okay, so that's an endemic species. That's the subspecies of iguanas that only lives on Isabella, and so they're incredibly rare. And it's about to be eaten by a gull. And now British people have an instant aversion to gulls because they just steal our chips and ice cream and they get in the way. But the lava gull, as I understand it, is the rarest gull on the entire planet. There's only 300 to 600 of them. And so I sit there going like, if I intervened, which I wasn't going to do, if I intervened, like, what do you do? Do you save the rare endemic lizard, or do you allow the rarest gull in the world to eat its dinner? And it's a hell of a quandary, and I'm still sort of tossing it over in my head. Like it's the amazing thing about all of the interactions between different species on these islands is that they are beautiful and complex and ingrained in history, predating human arrival. And then humans come along and start to define things at a species level, define things at vulnerability levels, and start to have opinions about what's important and what's not, and fail to realize that absolutely everything is important, and that these interactions are irreplaceable. And and yet we come in here and we either get in the way because we want to help, or we get in the way because we want to hinder. And either way, it's very hard to sort of remove ourselves from the process, which I guess is what we're trying to do at Floriana.
Yeah, so well, since these are both endemic species and they are wildlife completely, we're not allowed to do any help, not to the iguana or the gull.
The 2 meter rule. You sit there 2 meters away going, this is awful and death, and the conservation angles are problematic, but amazing.
Wildlife nature doesn't forgive sometimes.
It does not, it's cruel.
And so, yeah, wildlife is what it is. And we get to see these interactions, and it's very interesting. I saw, there was a really fun video going around a few months ago here of a scallop hammerhead shark following a ray. And the ray even jumps through the boat. It doesn't even land on the boat. It just literally jumps through the boat, and it swims away from the shark.
Amazing.
But the people from the boat couldn't do anything either. They could just watch.
Sit back and watch.
And that's it. And yeah, it's just nature being nature.
It's nice being humbled like that occasionally.
Yeah, it's nice. And have you liked more marine activities or land activities? What has been? I
mean, all of it. So far I've explored 4 islands, or I'm about to. So obviously I started on San Cristobal, then I popped to Española for a day, Isabella, and obviously now at Santa Cruz. I've loved seeing the differences. Marine iguanas again. Hello, mockingbird. Oh, you've got a dodgy beak.
Yeah.
There's a good example. The mockingbirds from island to island have been fascinating. So the mockingbirds on Española are so inquisitive. You land there and they try and come and sort of take away your water bottle, and you're going, no, I've got to keep 2 meters away from you, go away. Whereas on San Cristobal, they're really sort of timid and shy. And again, with the difference between the iguanas, you've got the sort of dark, blacky brown iguanas on San Cristobal, but they look like Christmas trees on Española. And it's the proximity and yet the isolation that just breeds this mass difference. And I could watch all of them in different ways for eternity.
And just sit down and watch them all day.
Yeah, and the birds are amazing. So with a license, we got a chance to mist net and catch the finches, and to ring them and measure them and extract some blood, and to run the genetic samples for various things that are being researched at the moment. But to be able to hold in your hand a medium ground finch is one of the most amazing things that a scientist could ever do, because you grow up studying these things, seeing the different beak shapes that change from island to island to island. And they're the model. They're the thing that evolution came from, that natural selection, as an idea, stems from. And that was just breathtaking. I mean, being permitted to hold any kind of wildlife is incredible, but to hold a ground finch,
yeah,
that's a proper coup.
Yeah, sadly, only the scientists are allowed to touch them and
don't
grab
touch.
them.
2 meters rule.
Exactly.
Keep away
all the time, and don't feed the birds. Never.
No. Well, actually, that's one of the things that we were testing for was beak size of the finches in the highlands as compared to down in the main town, to see if the diet of the finches is changing over time. So obviously, up in the highlands, they're still eating the seeds, and their beak shape remained the same. Down in the populated areas, they're eating crisps and chips and all these things that anthropogenic issues sort of bring into the environment. And we're trying to monitor to see if there's any shift in beak size as a result of, or bill size as a result of that different foodstuff being available. An unintended consequence of human habitation, but an interesting one nonetheless.
And you have seen a little bit of change on both.
I haven't seen enough of the research to date. I was just assisting in terms of data collection, but I would suggest that it's fairly inevitable.
Yeah.
There's so much plasticity in those beak shapes already that one would imagine there would be some kind of shift as the food stuff alters.
So in San Cristobal, you went to the highlands a lot. And where were you like visiting in the highlands? You went to Galapagos, probably?
We went to Galápagos, but also we assisted on a few of the local agricultural endeavours. So as part of the programme, we like to give back to the community. So I got my hands dirty and planted a few coffee trees, coffee crop in one particular farm. But we're also taking leaf samples and insect samples from the farms to see what invasives are up to. So see what plants are moving into the Galapagos that shouldn't necessarily be there, see what insects they might be bringing with them, what potential disease implications that there are as a result of that. So in particular, we were looking at a couple of species of invasive ants. So yeah, but I'm just an actor, so what do I know about any of that? So.
You're not just an actor, you're also an ecologist. You're very into all this world, which is amazing and it's great. Yeah. We here at the station, like as I was telling you, I'm in communications, and we just try to pitch in with whatever we have and whatever we can do. And
but you can't help but learn through having the conversations. So that's the thing, like to have a job that exposes you to different people and different places and different species. Like that's an incredible thing to have at your fingertips. Like your perception of the world just broadens and broadens and broadens.
Yes, and as you were saying, like what happened to you in CITES, like you were like literally just in a pub with all the shark enthusiasts.
It was really hard work.
It is. No, for me, like for me personally, it does happen that way a lot. Not in pubs. We don't have pubs here, but you sit down, just have a coffee and chat with them. It's easier to chat with scientists in a relaxed way than in an interview like we were doing right now. But you have experience on this, so it's perfect. But yeah, it's harder to talk with them that way, and it's easier to just do it in conversation. And that's when they actually tell me stuff. And they actually tell me what's happening in their projects, what they're doing, what they're working on. And that's what makes it interesting, and why they work, why they're doing the work that they're doing. So mainly that.
And often research takes multiple years before it can be turned into a paper. So often they're quite shady about the stuff they're literally doing at this moment in time.
Yeah.
So if you can come in as, say, an actor or a comms person and just be like, hey, I'm just got a casual interest in it, then you get all of the up-to-date information that's coming through, which is really cool.
Yes.
Perk of the job.
It is a really good trick that I do a lot, probably every day. But yes, so that's cool. So you were also you saw a lot of plants as well. We do have a lot of endemic plants here. Did you see anything that caught your eye on the plant world?
The Silesia are pretty amazing.
Silesia?
Yeah, they're giant. They're not trees. They look like trees, but they're just giant daisies. I think they're absolutely incredible.
Did you smell them? They smell good.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah, they don't look that beautiful sometimes. I like them when they're really grown up. And they're very, very.
So that's been one of the things about coming in January. Everybody says it's about to sort of pick up. Everything's going to turn green, and all the flowers are going to come, and spring's going to start. And you're like, that would be glorious to see. So many of my trips, strangely, have always been in January lately. I went to India last January, and again, it was wintertime, so you're not seeing that sort of beautiful color come through, and the smells that are associated with all those flowers blooming. It is that thing. Travel is addictive and dangerous because of it, but you want to see all the different seasons of somewhere. To have the freedom to spend a year in every single country in the world would just that'd be pretty cool. But
so you've traveled a lot all over the world, and
for work. That's always been the thing. So the acting has always taken me to different places. I started to feel guilty about the carbon footprint that was associated with that, and that's partly where the podcast came from as well. So if I was working in Los Angeles, for example, I could then do interviews with people based up in Sequoia National Park, which is just a short drive north, really, or head down to San Diego and talk to some blue whale scientists or something like that. Yeah, using the benefits of one vocation to try and do some good on the other side. But that's changing. I think the entertainment industry is trying very slowly, but trying to do less international travel. So,
yeah, I think so. Every year, I think we have a little bit more projects, bigger projects, going to the entertainment industry to help a lot on conservation, and like mainly just bring out the voice, speak up about what's happening here in Galapagos through every other aspect of it. And for that, I wanted to ask you, since you've been all over the place a little bit, and you saw Galapagos, what is unique about here, and because it is a very unique place, as I was telling you before, and why do you think, in your perspective, it should be protected? What makes it so unique? Why is it so important to protect these islands?
I think because human habitation is a relatively recent thing here, because it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, because we know a lot about the rarity of the endemic species, like the number of endemic species that don't exist anywhere else on the planet is incredible. And the way in which they change from island to island is incredible. And we know all this. And so the bottom line is, if we can't have a conservation success, when the entire world knows how important this place is, when the entire world cares about how important this place is, then how can we have a conservation success anywhere? So people often refer to it as a living laboratory for scientists to come here and to explore how speciation occurs and evolution occurs, and how anthropogenic problems can appear. Yes, it's a living laboratory, but it's also the actual sort of sword of Damocles of conservation. Like, genuinely, if we can't get a small island or a series of small islands across an archipelago protected from human interaction, then I really don't see how we can do it anywhere else. And I know that sort of sounds almost sort of doom-mongering, but that's the bottom line of it. And that's why there are so many conservation organizations trying to get money into this place, why Charles Simon Foundation is incredible, why the Galapagos Science Center is incredible, like all of these different people, why the Galapagos Conservation Trust is incredible, all of these different organizations going, this is where we can learn how to do it at a bigger scale elsewhere across the planet. And that's really important.
The expectations are very high.
Yeah, don't screw it up, yeah?
We are trying not to. That's why science, like here, like everything is backed up by science. Even sometimes, like even laws here are backed up by science. So anything that the scientists do here, we work hand in hand with the Galapagos National Park, as I was telling you. So we are like, even physically, we are literally next to them.
Sure.
So we're just a short walk from their offices, and anything that we do here, any research, we pass it through them.
Great. And
that's how we generate all these special laws for Galapagos. Everything is getting focused mostly on conservation. Like, it's their land.
There's a unique opportunity here in the sense that, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but you've got a semi-autonomous government over the Galapagos, which differs to the Ecuadorian mainland. Now that brings a whole load of advantages, but it's scary. Suddenly you've got a smaller governance that can be affected by these sort of bigger players on the outside world. And at a point where geopolitics is in absolute turmoil, with people turning away from science as a way to inform policy and relying more upon opinion or backhanders, it's a scary time to be in an archipelago. Like, it is scary, but it's so important. It's so incredibly important.
It is very important. And for us, like, for example, if you get into the politics side and everything here, as I was telling you as well, we are first off, like, our first employees are the Galapagueños and all the residents. And that happens also in politics, since we're very autonomous. Even our politicians here try to also be from the islands.
Sure.
We give the benefit to them. And that's what also makes it so protected, because they grew up here as well. Yeah. So we all grew up here, and we know the place, and we love the place, and we try to keep it as pristine as we can, although it's harder every year. But yeah, that's the cool thing here about interaction with all these animals, and even like, not even just marine and terrestrial, we also have a lot of invertebrates here. So
we've had a carder bee flying around us.
A lot of bees, and they are like the bumblebee that you see, like the big one. It's an endemic one here as well, as you probably heard, and it doesn't bite, so, but we cannot touch them either, and they're very big, and they're my favorite ones. Yeah, we get to see a lot of nature happening here with people, so that's what, as you were saying, it's a living laboratory. It just brings all the ideas afloat. Yeah. So also I wanted to go back a little bit onto Teresa Crowd. So you talk about all these ideas, like what we're doing right now. So it's mainly like all these topics. And what do you see there? Would you like to do something with the Charles Darwin Foundation? Would you like to work with us, do like, I don't know, a little bit more podcasts as well? Because we do have a lot of scientists here that could help you out as well.
I'd love to. It's that problem of time though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm on literally on Santa Cruz for a day before then heading back to San Cristobal and going away. But yeah, I'd love to have conversations with as many people as possible.
Yeah, I bet. So for you right now, are you more like today, are you trying to get into more into the entertainment industry, or you're trying to get into the conservation industry, just like work wise? What are you today?
Today, what am I today? No, I'm still very much an actor. That's the day job. For better or for worse, that's the day job.
Yes.
The conservation is I guess it's a really well-informed hobby. I don't know, maybe one day I'll lean into doing science as a full-time vocation. But I'm in my 40s now. Like, at what point is it too late to make that shift? So I don't know. There are ways that I can help conservation organizations more by being slightly removed. And I think that's probably the way it should remain.
I think one of the best ways to do it, and as actors and communication, is just to bring up the voice mainly. So that's why you're here. We like to interview like people that have bigger communities around them, so we can also broaden the voice and bring Galapagos as a topic and conversation. So
it's nice to be doing it with someone who actually knows what he's talking about, though, right?
Yeah.
Or thinks he does, at least.
Yeah. And so now you're in Netflix is on season 3.
Yeah, season 3 of Vikings Valhalla has come.
4?
There is not a season 4.
So season 3 is done?
That's the end, which is a shame because my character was just coming into his own. But yeah.
I'm finishing season 1. And I really like Godwin. Yeah. It is a really good character
I like
for
him.
now.
Yeah, it was interesting. I played a lot of morally suspect people at the beginning of my career, and then midway through I tried to sort of get away from it, start playing good guys, and didn't quite make it. So I've gone back to playing the bad guys again. Yeah, morally complicated is probably the better way to put it.
Yeah. Godwin tries to just go through his life however he wants. However he can.
Yeah, he's a survivor.
He's a survivor.
He's doing what he's
adapts. He adapts. It's like nature here in Galapagos.
Yeah, exactly. He is the Saxon equivalent of evolution in practice.
Okay, that's great. Well, yeah, I don't know. I think I've run out of questions right now. I will have a lot of questions for you throughout the day.
Amazing. It's been lovely to talk.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna be with you today. Yeah, trying to show you a little bit here in the campus, and also we're going to the highlands probably, so you can also see the tortoises there.
Great.
As we were talking, like what makes us different from each island to the other. For me, personally, since for me it's also San Cristobal, my favorite island, because that's where my family comes from. But each island is unique, definitely. As you were seeing here, Santa Cruz is a little bit more modernized than other islands, but we do have some interesting highlands going on, because like the tunnels, we also have a lot of tunnels on the highlands. We're gonna show you. We're gonna see the tortoises there, and
there's a tortoise that lives in the tunnels, right? Like a subspecies.
Yeah, we do. Well, not inside the tunnels, but they do live around the tunnels. They probably have got into the tunnels. We can ask that some guide, but but yeah, they like to stretch in ponds. There is nice place in the highlands to do.
Lovely. Can't wait.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, David, for joining us today. We will be with you also throughout the day. And thank you, everybody, for watching and for listening as well. Keep on following us. We will have more guests coming up. And see you next time at the station.